What is up, Honey Badger Nation? This is John Kitchens, and this is episode 136 of Expert Mentors Live. And I am really excited for today's episode. Got the one and only Miss Hollie Kitchens on with us today. So what's up?
What's up? What's up? I apologize in advance because I feel like it's already glitching on my end for Wi-Fi. So just want to apologize in advance if I freeze looking all goofy, you guys. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm super excited though today.
We already have sketchy internet as it is, and then now we're trying to do two of us streaming at the same time. Recipe for disaster, but it's gonna be good. So appreciate all of you guys jumping in. I do want to say, hey, if like I said, this is episode 136. If you want to catch up on all the Expert Mentor replays of the amazing talent and rock stars that we have here with us in the Honey Badger Nation and Fast Forward movement, you can go to EMLreplays.com. Take you to a link there that has all 136 episodes. Awesome. So I know we're going to talk a little branding today, which is kind of your forte and expertise. I'm going to let you kind of dive in. Let's chat.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So it's funny because it's like, if you were to talk to me about branding like 5-6 years ago, I would be like, I don't want my name out there. I don't want people knowing who I am. It's funny to see like the evolution, and we'll definitely be talking about like evolution of a brand and everything else. But I think, and I know a lot of people have heard my story already, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But essentially, I went from hiding behind a logo and being scared. And to be honest, I never knew what the fear was other than, going it back to childhood of being like bullied and stuff. So I always associated attention with negative, not necessarily positive. So I think branding is such a critical thing, especially in real estate, because you guys know how many real estate agents are in your markets. There's so many of them. And they're like, I always joke, I'm like, when somebody asks if it's hard to get in real estate, and I'm like, I got 2 real estate licenses last year. They're giving them out. Like, it's so, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's definitely nothing crazy because both of those licenses I prepared in less than 2 weeks with, and they were like from previous that I just let lapse or whatever. But it's definitely something critical that we need to have to position ourselves differently and attract our true clients that we want to work with. So I'm excited to dive into it today.
Yeah. So, I love that and really how that associated, for you and what you mentioned there, hide behind the logo. And that was really, time while we were in Lawton with, real estate experts, the Jay Kinder brand. And so being able to hiding behind that as a real estate face, and then, that evolution, which is fantastic. And so let's unpack a little bit for everybody, exactly what brand is. What does that mean? And why is that so important for all of us to establish?
So to me, I feel like branding is positioning. It's seed planting. It's creating something that's unique. It's selling without selling. So obviously with that statement right there, no wonder why everyone needs it. Even if you're just starting out or if you're already an established real estate agent, a brand is more than just, going live every now and then or doing something like that. It's consistency. It's what you're known for, right? So it could be your walk. It could be your talk. It could be your attitude. It could be whatever. So like classic example for me, when I think about like a brand and you want to talk about, especially when it comes to personal, I think a lot of the talk about we'll be talking about today is going to be more like personal branding versus company branding, just because we're all EXP agents here in the Honey Badger group. But I think it's important to understand that you've got to build your own personal brand within a company that you're at or a brokerage or whatever the case may be. So I think when I think of branding, and I think of somebody who has nailed this, is going to be Grant Cardone. You think about Grant Cardone, love him or hate him, like his attitude, that's his brand. His personality, that's his brand. And that's just who he is. And that's how he shows up every single day. Like if you were to look at Grant Cardone, posting last week versus posting today, it's going to be the same brand, right? So I think that's critical when it comes to how we show up online and what we do. I just think that's what creates the uniqueness of it. So I think to me, that's what's a brand. And then that's why it's super important, why everyone needs to have one.
Yeah. And, you had mentioned hiding behind, but also like, if somebody's like, Holly, I'm on a team, whatever, like when is the right time to like, hey, we need to start building this brand at this time? Like, what do you kind of feedback on that?
I feel like yesterday, like when do you start? Like now, classic example was being on Jay Kinder home selling team or Jay Kinder real estate experts, what it ended up being. And you guys always encouraged us to, go out, do our own videos, make our own social media posts, make our own Facebook pages, so on and so forth. Yeah, at the end of the day, Jay's picture was on a sign, but I had the control of still going on Facebook and creating my own online identity, as well as being part of Chamber of Commerce. Of course, I didn't do any of this because that was back when I was scared of getting in front of people and people knowing who I am, which is crazy. It's asinine to think because we're in a business where you have to have your name out there. But yeah, I think if you're on a team, you obviously make sure you stay within your team's guidelines and brandings and all that good stuff too, but create your own personal brand within that brand and showcase your own personalities, your own uniqueness and what you offer. Because, you might have a great, team going on, but each person's going to have different personalities. They're going to attract different types of clients. They're going to have different goals. So I think as real estate agents, we tend to be scarcity mindset, but it's understanding that like, just show who you are because there's so much business out there. I would prefer to work with people who like me, who I am, versus just, somebody just to do a sell. Because we've all had those clients where, they're hard and difficult to work with. And I think if we do a better job of showcasing who we are and what we stand for, we kind of eliminate those people who we kind of butt heads with, if you will, at the end of the day as clients.
Yeah, you said something a little bit earlier, kind of talking about Cardone, and then also was kind of the quote that I posted in when the call post, which talks about how you show up online better match how you're showing up in real life. Touch on that a little bit. You say that all the time, and it's such a good reminder. And you've helped me create such an awareness that we see incongruencies of online and real life. Talk a little bit about that, because I think this is one of the biggest things that a lot of folks mess up. They don't get this right. So talk a little bit about that for everybody.
Yeah. So like, it's not saying like, for me, I wouldn't go online and say, hey, I'm going to go live and talk about accounting numbers and I'm going to position myself as an accounting expert. At the end of the day, I don't know anything about numbers. I don't even say receipts. You're like, here's a receipt. I'll just like wad it up and throw it in the side of my car. So like to me, and then you meet somebody in person, you can create, and we kind of talked about this last night on our live. It's actually not live because I'm in Facebook jail, but was trying to go live last night with Wally and Nick, but we were talking about, it's all good. You can show up as great as you can online, but at the end of the day, you've still got to convert them. You still got to show them that that. So attract those people that that will trust you, like you, everything else, build that rapport. But at the end of the day, you got to know what you're doing. You've got to understand it. So like when I say, I always tell people, like, I always ask people, how do you want to show up online? I'm not talking about like, let's just create some fugazi stuff and let's just, create like, on the Duchess of whatever. Like, no, but what I'm saying is you've got to know your stuff, and the content you're putting out at the end of the day, you've got to know it, because there's going to come a point in time when you're going to have to write a contract, or you're going to have to, negotiate. So those skills that you really publicly display, make sure you know them and show up with them online. We all see it all the time. We see these people that paint that they're like the best person, the best salesman, the best whatever. And then you meet them in person, you're like eye rolling, because you're like, you don't know anything. Like you can hide behind a keyboard. And I know we all have different personalities. Some of us are extroverts, introverts, whatever. But at the end of the day, you've got to show up authentically and you got to be yourself, or else people get, you get sniffed on that real quick, especially in today's day and age.
Yeah. And we talk, you and I, I have the pleasure to have these conversations with you all the time. And we talk about, it's such a transparent world, and authenticity is so key, and it's becoming more and more transparent, like by the day.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that everybody has to kind of keep in mind is, is this really how I want to be, right? Is this how I'm really showing up? And appreciate all you guys kind of jumping in here with us. This is Expert Mentors, and yes, I do have the beautiful guest today, Miss Hollie Kitchens, on with us, and we're talking branding 101, everything branding. And if you guys have any questions for Hollie, throw them in, and we'll circle back around as we kind of talk through some key points that we want to share with everybody tuning in with us. So let's go talking back to establishing the brand and kind of some steps, part of that process that you help people work through to establish the brand, right? To kind of think through to get it right. Please share with everybody kind of that process that you take people through.
Yeah. And my absolute favorite people, like perfect students, is going to be the mountains. So, to me, it's going through a questionnaire. There's a series of questions that I help people go through and get clear, because usually you already have the pieces of the puzzle there. We've just got to put them together and say, okay, this is how we need to show up online, and this is what we need to showcase, and, so on and so forth. But I think it's identifying, obviously your core values, what makes you unique, your USP, categories. So categories that people gravitate towards for you. So, what does John Kitchens, and we can always kind of do like a quick audit, if we will, like if you go through and your profile, your Facebook, your Instagram, wherever, and you say, okay, what are categories does my audience love? Is it inspiration? Is it, it could even be selfies. I know that sounds silly, but some people, selfies is their category. That you get more engagement and people pay attention to that. So is it selfies? Is it homes? Is it beach? Is it whatever the case may be? I think it's identifying those categories that make you kind of, people want to tune into you more, right? Like they stop and scroll. So identify your categories, identify who you want to show up as. I think it's important to get crystal clear on, okay, what are people going to expect to see on my page? When you watch Netflix, when you binge watch Netflix, why is that? Because there's a certain interest in a show that is going to keep you on your toes, but that it's not going to go from in person to cartoon, right? Like it's always the same characters usually, especially if it's a series like Blacklist, for instance, right? We watch that all the time. We know Red, we know like all these people, but there are some things randomly that pop up, but we know what to kind of expect as far as characters goes and content goes. So I think when it comes to establishing a brand, it's understanding what do I stand for? How can I voice this? What kind of content do I need to put out there? And I think it's just being repetitive. And I told the mountains yesterday, I was on a live with Aaron, and it's so funny because like their Instagram, like when I'm scrolling, I now see their content and I know it's them without seeing who's posting it. And to me, that's effective establishing a brand, right? Like Nike, they haven't changed, that orange color is still their color, right? You haven't seen Nike that goes to lime green to pink to whatever, unless of course, it's October or something like that. But the consistent branding and establishing that, I think after you establish that, then it's consistency, and you just it's not going to happen overnight, but it's just, like working out. You don't go to the gym and walk out with a 6-pack of abs. You've got to put in the work.
Right. And so kind of working through and establishing it too, it's also important to identify who your audience is, who your ideal avatar, your client that you really want to resonate with. Is how important is that?
So absolutely, you've got to know who is your audience, who are you serving? Because at the end of the day, if it's selfish, you're not going to go anywhere. No one wants to sit there and tune into the Hollie Kitchens show. Like that's boring, right? You got to say, okay, what value am I delivering? Who's my avatar? You got to think of somebody like, their avatars of even the Kardashians. They have different avatars. Each one of them do. So it's understanding what's the goal, and then putting out intentional and purposeful content to attract those clients. So for instance, if you are really wanting to up into the luxury division of real estate, you're not going to be posting, mobile homes in Oklahoma. You're going to be posting, maybe lake homes in Oklahoma or whatever, whatever the elevated is or whatever content it is. Maybe it's not like first-time home buyers. Like first-time home buyers usually don't spend, 600,000 plus on a home, right? So it's understanding who you want to attract, what's your expertise. And of course, in real estate, there's so many pillars. We're gonna have different avatars, but I think it's understanding who's my main avatar. Is it a home seller? Is it a home buyer? And then curating that content around them to really establish that brand and expertise without being salesy.
I love that. Yeah, that's so spot on. So, for a lot of folks, the hodgepodge of stuff that's out there, talk to a little bit about, hey, we need to do a little audit and we need to be cleaning up some stuff. Like, what are some key points to be looking for to audit and clean up with people's brands that are out there?
100%. So it's like the number one thing I would say is to go back and research what you already have out there. So maybe it's Googling your name. Maybe it's going on Facebook and, click the view as public or view as a friend or whatever. Look at your profiles from a third party eye, if you will. Don't go and look at it from your admin or your own back end side. Go in and view it as another person. My thing is are you showing up as you should be showing up? If I want to say, hey, I want to help, school teachers, or I want to help this, that, and the other, but then there's shots of me on a bar taking shots and being crazy, that might not be aligning. I'm not saying being fake. I'm just saying you've got to understand what kind of content you're putting out. Because once you put content out there, it's going to stay out there. There's screenshots, there's screen recordings, screen grabs. It's so easy for people to, go to be caught real quick. So go through there, do some brand cleanup, because the person who I am today is not the person who I was 10 years ago. I got on Facebook, I think in 2000, right after they allowed college, you used to be college only. You had to have like a student address. I can't remember, but when I got into it finally, I was in my 20s and didn't, I had this little ego head on my shoulders. I'm definitely not the person who I was 10 years ago. And I'm grateful for that, right? We're all, I hope no one's the same person as they were 10 years ago, but maybe going back through and doing a little bit of cleanup, if maybe, only for my eyes, or not that you have to delete your stuff, just maybe change it from, personal to that, or maybe just, create your Facebook public page and then utilizing that as your brand. But I think going back, doing some cleanup, making sure too, there's brand consistency. So if you have a Hollie Kitchens logo that's in script, that better be my logo on every single thing I do. You're not going to see Hollie Kitchens in a bold font or Hollie Kitchens as a logo, right? So making sure your branding is consistent, making sure your messaging is consistent. Look for colors. So like if you're using, and again, the mountains are a great example. I hope they don't mind me saying that, but I just want to brag on how proud I am for them, because they were kind of like, their brand was like a blues and blacks and kind of like that kind of, I don't know. It's not masculine, but it's not feminine. It's very classic, very good looking colors. But then they started kind of entwining some of the EXP colors, like oranges. Kind of doesn't go with the same brand look and feel. But like I said, now when I see him on Instagram, I know exactly who's posting the content before actually seeing the name. So I think too, it's understanding colors, it's understanding brand consistency, image consistency, and then just protecting that with all your might. Like, I think it's so, we can be so scatterbrained and just kind of post up here and there just to post. But if you're not intentional, you're not going to look put together.
Yeah, I tell you, who else I'm really kind of proud of is T. Coming out of the kitchen table and how he cleaned his brand up.
Oh, it looks so good.
It looks incredible, and really, really proud of what he's done with that. And the other thing that really jumps out to me, and hopefully all of you guys listening into this, if you don't own your name, go get your name. And it's one of those, it's just like, at Gmail, I was like, positioning wise, you need, and obviously that other John Kitchens out there won't let go of johnkitchens.com, that guy. So I'm going to get it one of these days. I'm going to get it. I'm going to keep hanging around. January 1st, it always renews. So we're going to get it one of these days.
But credit card expire one of these days. Billing's not going to pick up.
Yeah. So, you look at, Jay at Jay Kinder, John at johnkitchens.coach, Hollie at Hollie Kitchens, right? It's just, it just has a little bit more of a positioning from a brand. So if you guys, you guys are all experts, you're true advisors, you're a professional listening into this, get that cleaned up. I mean, really.
It costs like $6 from Google Workplace. I think it's called Google, G Suite now or something like that, but it's not G Suite, it's something else. But just type in like Google G Suite and it'll pop up. $6 a month, you guys. Invest it because John's spot on. Like I get, it's funny because we were right before this, we were talking about, I showed you how I got just a accepted as entrepreneur.com contributor. And I'm thinking like I've applied before and I got declined, but I'm thinking about like, first off, I submitted the application when I was a couple of glasses of wine. And so it probably wasn't like, I thought it sounded good. I thought it sounded good, but it wasn't put together. But I'm thinking back to you. I think I did unleashyourInnerLegend@gmail.com is the email address. I mean, they're going to be like, yeah, okay, you're professional. But now, when I submit an application with Hollie at HollieKitchens.com, and then they even take it a step further and go to HollieKitchens.com, they're going to start seeing that you are who you are, right? So I think too, even if you don't have your own personal branded website, take that domain and forward it to your IDX page. We already have KV Core. We already have these home search engines. Just take it. And if you guys don't know how to do that, I created a how-to video. I'll go back and add it to the comments of this video, but then also message me and say, hey, how do I point my domain? It takes 2 seconds if you guys are on GoDaddy, and I will be more than happy to show you, because HollieKitchens.com, even if I didn't have an influencer website, it could still go to my KV Core website where it's like home searches and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the other thing too, kind of cleaning things up, you got to think how consumer behavior. So when they see you, the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to go Google you, right? Or they're going to search you on social media. And so you got to be really, really mindful of what they find, right? So I know that's talking about establishing and cleaning up. Just go start Googling yourself, start social media, looking for yourself. What is popping up? And do you want that your ideal client, is that what you want them to see? So take an audit, be really mindful of that, and really, be intentional, like Hollie was saying with that. And obviously, you touched on getting really clear on that brand identity and really what that's about. How, really what that is. Is there anything else kind of to be mindful of, getting clear on that identity?
Yeah, I think it's, goes back to the question of who do you want to show up as online? And then it's putting in the work. Like you can't just, and when I say put in the work too, if you're at that position to where you can actually outsource somebody to curate your content, repurpose your content, absolutely do that, but for those who's starting out, if you don't have that, block some time in your calendar to say, okay, how can I go live, or what videos do I have talking about this, and how can I slice and dice it into Instagram mini series or YouTube videos? But I think to me, getting that brand identity is, getting clear on your image, your name, your content, everything, and then just making sure you're consistent with that. Like that's going to be you've got to protect that. You wouldn't have somebody come into your business and say, hey, I'm just going to change the name. So don't do that to your look and feel. Like keep it consistent, guard it. And I think the Meltons, again, I know I'm saying them so many times, but it's great because they work hand in hand. So like he protects the brand super good. Like she just goes out and does the content. She puts in, she's the face of the brand, but he protects it like it's theirs, right? Because it is their brand. But
yeah,
it's understanding. And like for you, I've seen people, we've talked about this before. Someone had used your image before. And I'm like, gosh, that's like a 10-year headshot. We've got to do some cleanup here. So it's reaching out and saying, hey, we're just doing some brand consolidation and we're, just tightening up the brand. Can you please use this recent updated headshot? So it's super important to have that mindset of this is your brand. It's super important. I think it's crazy not to be super strict and have a super high standard when it comes to your brand image.
Yeah, I love that. And Cassie's asking a good question. This kind of segue, getting clear, personal brand versus company brand. Do you need to be like the Springer Group, something more general? Like what's kind of your take on that positioning of the brand?
So for me, I think at the end of the day, it's what's the goal. And, because like, for instance, Jay Kinder Real Estate Experts, Jay was the face, Jay was the brand. And that did phenomenal for everybody involved because Jay was super involved in the community. But at the end of the day, Jay had to show up, right? So like it could be Jay Kinder Real Estate Experts without a Jay Kinder. Right. So if you're looking to create a brand or a company and you're thinking, okay, at one point in time, I'm going to sell it, because if you can't sell your company without your name tagged to it, then it's not sellable. Like Jay Kinder Real Estate Experts, when you guys did the transaction with Stacey Reedy, it's now Real Estate Expert Advisors or whatever it is. It's not Jay Kinder. Like obviously it's Jay's not there anymore. Jay's not the face and brand. So I think if you have a very strong pull in the community and you're very involved in the community, I would say absolutely use your name and utilize that when it comes to your company. Now, when it comes to personal branding versus company brand, I think this is interesting. If you guys have your phones near you, to hop over to Instagram and let's just have a little bit of fun right here. So just to kind of show you the difference of, personal versus company. And this is a little bit different from Cassie's question, but if you type in on Instagram, Virgin Music, which is like Virgin Records, right?
Okay.
So that record label has 101,000 followers. So 101K. Now, when you think about Virgin, obviously, Richard Branson is the guy who created all that. Now, if you type in Richard Branson's name, he has 4.2 million followers. So like that's a power of a personal brand, right? So understanding that, and then if he was to do Richard Branson Realty or whatever, obviously his name would be connected and tied to that. But the Virgin brand, that's just a whole beast, and we already know that story. But I think it's super important when it comes to understanding. I think people underestimate the power of a personal brand, and they realize so much, and they focus so much on their company brand that they don't put enough attention on their personal brand as well. And I think I just wanted to show that kind of example, because it's like, if Richard didn't put importance on himself as a personal brand, where would he be now, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And for all of you guys listening in, Virgin probably is the best example of brand consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something, you and I have been working on that we really took into consideration as well. How can we, model that, because it is the best. And being able to stay consistent with that as an example. And, back to what you just said, I want to just kind of add some context to the real estate experts, and going back to what is the goal. And so, when we made the transition, we left Jay Kinder on there for about 6 to 9 months before we started fading all of that off. And so we toyed around, what do we do? And it just kept coming back to what's the goal? What's the goal? And the goal was to continue to, provide a brokerage to where agents would want to come and feel that, they weren't hiding behind a brand of something, right? They felt like they could, plug into a great environment, but also build themselves. And so that's why they stayed. It's just real estate experts, but it's also Stace and Reedy.
Mm-hmm.
So Stace and Reedy have a brand within the brokerage brand. And so real estate experts, but it's, with those guys, right? It's Stace and Reedy, but they also have some other agents.
Adrian's another example too, but they're also heavily involved in the community as well, right? So they're, involved with the board, they're involved with, activities, Coach for Kids, all that good stuff. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, I feel like we're all in this group. We're all EXP. We're all here because we understand the importance of a brand, and we don't have to say, okay, we're EXP. That's the only thing we could say. We could say, hey, I'm Hollie Kitchens, brokered by EXP, or however, powered by, or whatever you want to position it as. But at the end of the day, you get to have control of that brand. And you get to create it because, like I had said earlier, how many people are in your marketplace, and how are you standing out?
Right.
Like, why would I do business with John Kitchens versus Reedy? Right.
Exactly.
How are you different than the next real estate agent?
Yeah. I think, to everybody in this group, what Chuck and Angela have done, Fazio, they're a great example too. So there's some really good examples to model after just within just this community, right?
Rebecca and Josue, they have the Married in Real Estate. They've knocked that branding out of the park. So it's like, and they're consistent. Like, they didn't say Married in Real Estate, and then they're like, a month later, Partners for Life or something. You know what I mean? Like, they were consistent with the brand.
Yeah. There's a lot of really, really good examples. I mean, this is, this community is so powerful. It's so amazing. The talent, leading the industry in this group. And so there's a lot to model after. And so talk about, it's like, oh, well, man, there's so much. So talk a little bit about the evolution and kind of, understanding, I remember I heard this and I shared it with John Harp, and he made a post on it. You drive sales overnight and you build a brand over time. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so talk a little bit about, hey, just start. It's an evolution. Kind of, you got to get this right first, and then you can build upon that. But I think that'll be kind of to people to kind of breathe a little bit, say, okay, I don't have to do this all. It takes time. So talk a little bit about the evolution.
So it's like, to me, I think about middle school. Like, we all had those weird, at least I did. I mean, I don't know, but those weird phases you go through. There was a time where I was listening to Tupac wearing bandanas. There was a time where I was wearing dark black eyeliner. I would say I was emo. I wouldn't say goth, but some people said I was goth. Like, so it's an interesting to see, kind of like, figure out where you stand and where you are, right? So I think, to me, it's embracing it. And you're absolutely right. You just got to start, get clear your avatar, start putting out your content. And then from there, it's seeing how your brand's going to evolve. So like, a great example is like on my podcast, on Unleash Your Inner Legend podcast. I started that podcast with the pure intent of only interviewing people, only interviewing other people. But as the podcast evolved, so did I. Now it's like, it's a mix of not just interviews, but it's also Clubhouse recordings that we host in rooms. It's Monday Minutes, where I just going to do some motivational, pieces to set the week, on pace. It's taking recordings from other, things like such what we're talking about right now, taking this recording and uploading it. So it's not just strictly that. So give yourself some grace and understand, like, hey, you figure out who you are. You've got to get clear on that. It's not going to happen overnight. Your brand will evolve. But I think it's just making sure you're consistent in like the imaging and the colors and consistency. And then if something doesn't feel right, just tweak it. It's okay. No one's going to die, but you've got to stay consistent with it. You've got to be super mindful and intentional, because, I see so many people put out great content, but they're always using different colors and different fonts, and it's never looking the same. And I'm thinking, like, man, that'd be so good if they just kept it the same. The number one tip that helps me stay consistent with branding is Canva. I go in there and I create, covers for like thumbnails for YouTube channels, or posts for Instagram, or, ebooks, whatever the case may be. Create those templates. And then every Tuesday, if I have a little tip to post on Instagram, I'm just going in Canva, typing in my little tip on my template, and then just downloading it and then uploading it. Like, it saves so much time, but then also there's the same look and feel each time as well.
Yeah. It's so key. Being able to have those little tools to be able to help you stay consistent. Yeah. And so yeah, that's good. So talk about some of the tools that you like to use that help, for what you use today.
Yeah. So StreamYard, what we're on right now, is absolutely amazing, because you can go through there and you can create your actually different brands. So like on my StreamYard, I'd have a brand of Agent Authority Academy. I have a brand of the Hollie and Krim Show. There's different brands that you can switch through and click on, and then all your templates are saved there. So you don't have to recreate anything. You'll have the same look and feel each time. So StreamYard's a great one. Canva, as I just mentioned, is another great one. I know we've been using Trello lately, so that's always a good one. I'm still working on getting disciplined on using it, but that's always a good one too, to kind of, keep track. And you can have all your branding assets in that area, like your logos or however you want to organize it, but you can have that place where everything's hidden or is organized. Next is going to be Google Drive. I mean, that's just so easy to go in there and, with our marketing girl that we have, just going there and dumping some headshots of me, and then now she's doing her magic. So I think that there's just a way to make sure that you guys, what's going to be a way to make it easier for you guys to keep consistent. Is it a folder on your computer desktop? Is it Canva? Is it wherever it is? But I think that those are my top tools that I can think of. Oh, another one's going to be Splice, SPLICE. It's a mobile app. It's for videos. I edit my videos so much on here, and you can also save them, and it'll save like your intros and stuff like that too. So that's super cool.
Yeah. And what are some of the outsourcing places that you've sent stuff over to? Fiverr? What else has been really good?
I think Fiverr, it's like, if anything, you got to kiss a couple of frogs to find your prints. But like, I have a good little jingle person if I want to jingle. I just message him and say, hey, this is what I'm kind of looking for, something similar or something upbeat. And then he creates it. I have a video guy who, just your intro that we have here for this one, created that. And say, hey, I kind of like this look and feel. Here's some videos, do what you do. And yeah, I could have learned, what is it, like a Adobe Premiere or whatever it is, or Final Cut Pro. I could have learned that. I could have done that, but then that's not the best use of my time. So I think it's understanding too, like where your strengths and like weaknesses are at, and then knowing where like to send outsourced stuff to. Like a video, yeah, I could create that, but also I can pay somebody $50 on Fiverr to do it as well. And then now we have an outstanding asset that I didn't have to sit there and waste time on building. And jingles, I could sit there and go through so many, license-free music or whatever, or I could pay somebody $25 to go in there and create me something that I was looking for that I can commercially use and then not have to worry about. So I think it's understanding that, and then it's understanding the resource. So at Fiverr, to me, like it's a good place for some stuff. If you're looking for a podcast intro, outro, that's always a good place. Logos, I'm not sure if I would exactly go there because you get what you pay for. But then it's also, reviews and their past work and everything like that. I think Fiverr's a great one. And Canva too, like even though you have to put in a little bit of work yourself, it's a great one that already have pre-built templates out too if you need some help on it, if you're not very creative in, building something from the ground up.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Talk a little bit about, not being the copycat, but more so being inspired.
Yeah, because you use the keyword, there's a lot of people here to model after. You didn't say go and copy them. Like, we're not going to start a podcast next week called John and Hollie Kitchens Married in Real Estate.
Right.
Like, what I mean? People are going to see that and pick up on that. And I see it so many times where people are like, hey, I love what Gary Vee is doing. And then they go and rip the exact look and feel. And you're like, why are you you're just discrediting yourself as a copycat. No one's going to take you serious. And when you start putting content out, even if it's your original content, they're going to think, well, who did Hollie copy that off of? She must have copied off Gary Vee. So going and understanding like, hey, that's cool. Like, StreamYard's a great example. Hey, that's a really cool platform that they're using. I love the look and feel. I love the scrolling elements. I love the branding. But then you take that and you go make it your own. Because the last thing you want to do is look just like everyone else. You don't want to have your StreamYard looking just like, I don't want to create a StreamYard looking just like somebody else in my marketplace or in my field, right? I don't want to have my content looking the exact same. Now you can say, that's a great idea. I'm going to sit there and do something similar and make it my own. Jay and Mike were great at that. And they'll tell you, they'll laugh and say copycat number 1 to copycat number 2, but they always made it their own.
Right.
They didn't sit there and rip it and then just say, oh, this is ours. They went through and made it Mike and Jay, within their own personality twist to it and adding it their own and building and creating it as their own. So I think that's super important too. Like, don't recreate the wheel, get inspiration and see what's possible using other people, what they're doing, like, Grant Cardone or, who are these big influencers? Like, I think Grant Cardone said the other day, they make sure to upload a video every single day on YouTube. That's a great strategy. You can copy that one because your content's going to be completely different. Now, if you go through and see like the look and feel and you sit there and rip it, everyone knows who Grant Cardone is. That's why he's as big as he is. You don't want to look like Grant Cardone because people are going to say that you're a copycat. There's just so many people. I'm trying to think of like other people. Virgin, we just talked about Virgin, right? Like, you don't go there and rip their stuff because people are like, you have no authenticity. You don't even have any brand identity. You're so concerned about the next hot thing that you don't focus on what you can bring and bring differently to the table. And I think that that's just a great thing to have that awareness of like, okay, I like that. I'm going to rip that, but I'm going to create it as my own and put my own personality and spin to it, my own style to it. Yeah.
And I think that goes back to, the quote, at the top of the post that we've talked about, right? How do you want to show up? And is that, because if you're doing that, is that who you really are?
Yeah.
And so how you're showing up. So I think that's a fantastic reminder. I consider you the Clubhouse guru. I don't know anybody that knows Clubhouse better than you. So
you don't know many people.
I don't know anybody that's on Clubhouse more than you. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. What I love about Clubhouse is you can multitask and do other things too. Like, while preparing for this, I was listening to it in the background. While, working on some things this morning, I was listening to it on the background. Like, I don't have to sit there. Like right now, it would be kind of weird if I just start sitting there and get on my phone and kind of start, you're going to see me do that, right? Clubhouse, it's audio only. So like, that's what I love about it. But yeah, I am on Clubhouse quite a bit.
Yeah. So, and I love it too, cause you'll chime in and drop little nuggets. And so share with everybody, you know, that's maybe thinking about getting on Clubhouse, that's on Clubhouse, some good tips, some good branding tips, things that you must do. You know, just, I think kind of share, I think this would be kind of a cool little bonus nugget with this call for everybody that, has been tuned in with us to this point, to give them some good tips and stuff on Clubhouse.
Yeah. So number one, the most important thing is going to be your bio, because that's going to be your first impression on the app. Clubhouse doesn't have a feed. I know so many people are familiar with it. So it's been around for, you know, a couple of months. So people are acclimated with it. But for those who aren't, so Clubhouse is audio only. There's no feed. There's no photos. It's audio. You know, you don't judge somebody by their picture. You judge them by the value that they're bringing to the table. So your bio is going to be where you have control of saying, hey, this is who I am, and this is how I can contribute to the platform. And that's my opinion. You know, obviously you can add in whatever you want to in the bio, but to me, I'm like, okay, what are some key things I want to highlight so that if someone says, oh, I want to ask about branding. Oh, well, Hollie says she's a brand strategist. Let's talk to her about this. So making sure you put in your bio what you can contribute or bring to the table. Add some, another important thing is always make sure you link your social media. Right now there's two options, Twitter and Instagram, because there is not a DM feature on Clubhouse. Like when somebody says DM me, they're meaning on whatever social media platform you have connected. So making sure you have your social media connected, making sure the first 3 lines of your bio is the most important, because that's whenever you're in a room, somebody clicks on your picture, they can only see the first 3 lines. And then plus obviously add more content below that, but the first 3 lines are your prime real estate. So your bio, your picture, you want to have a picture that stands out. Like I removed a background and put in a bright orange. Like orange is not my color, but I want to stand out from the crowd, right? Like, because when you're scrolling through, you just see a sea of pictures if you're in a big room. So it's that. And then most importantly too, is like once you get, you know, your imaging up, you get everything going and everything looks great, you have to, what I love about Clubhouse is you can't buy followers. You can't just go and say, oh, I'm going to buy all these people. No, the way you get followers and create an audience there is by your contribution. So you have to raise your hand to get up on stage, or you can start your own room, but raise your hand to get up on stage and just start connecting with people, start getting value. And like you said, yeah, I'll go there and I'll drop some nuggets here and there, but I do like 99% listening and maybe 1% of talking. And that's just the intention of the platform, is to give what you can, but mostly listen and be respectful of other people too as well. So yeah, I think that's my top tips would be making sure your picture's standing out, making sure your bio's on point, and then making sure you're getting involved in speaking on rooms. Lastly too, is be intentional on who you follow, because your hallway is curated by your followers. And I kind of messed this up in the beginning because I was going through there and kind of adding, you know, like just celebrity people or people who kind of recognize whatever. But then like with, you know, that kind of world, and my hallway started looking like an alleyway. It was kind of like negative. So I'm like, what? So I had to go through and like unfollow, do some cleanup, right? So it's understanding what content do I want to see? That's who I'm going to follow, because unlike, you know, Instagram or Facebook or wherever, Clubhouse is not one of those platforms where I'm going to look cool by following 0 people. Newsflash, if you follow 0 people on Clubhouse, you see 0 rooms, because that who you follow, it's almost like it's like a little mini like stage or mini event. So whoever you follow, they unlock those rooms for you. You want to make sure you follow those people who, you know, you want to learn from, grow from, whatever, connect with, and be intentional. I mean, I don't know any other platform. I've seen that. You were right there whenever Glenn and Grant Cardone made the connection. And now
it all happened on Clubhouse, and he's speaking at 10X this weekend.
Yeah, and he's speaking at 10X, and Grant Cardone, Elena is getting licensed in real estate, and she's going to be EXP. I mean, that's just the power of Clubhouse. I think that people, there is some, you know, some people can be negative on it. It's just like any other social media platform. Just kind of have that awareness of, okay, this room is kind of negative. I'm going to hop out into another room. I mean, I've hopped into a room yesterday, and then like I was like, oh, this sounds like a good title. It was like clickbait, and then I get in there, and everybody's like, you know, complaining. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm out on this. Like seems like everybody has nothing else to do, and I've, you know, my time's way too valuable. But yeah, just be careful who you follow, because that curates your feed. And if you're going to follow idiots, you're going to get some idiot rooms going. So
Your hallway looks like an alleyway. I love that. That's good.
Dark and negative. I don't want any of that.
No, don't have time for that at all. Man, good stuff. This, man, really good call. I really appreciate you taking the time, jumping in and sharing. I think, it's on a lot of people's mind. A lot of people just aren't quite getting it right or trying to figure out how to dial it in. And, definitely gave everybody a ton of value. Any other kind of key bullet points that we want to leave everybody with as we wrap up this episode?
Yeah, I just want to challenge you all to go back and audit your social media, audit your look and feel, and ask yourself, am I showing up consistently, and am I showing up who I want to be shown up as? If you're always on there complaining or, politics, no one's in EXP to be a politician. So if you're, posting a bunch of negative stuff or being angry all the time or whatever, like, is that who you want to show up as? Right. So I just want to leave you guys with that challenge to go through and kind of do some cleanup if you have to do some cleanup. And if you have any questions, please feel free to DM me at Hollie Kitchens. You guys can find me. I mean, obviously I'm in this group too as an admin, so you guys can go click on my profile and send me a DM if you guys have any questions too.
100%. And definitely make sure all of you guys tuning in, connect with Hollie. And, if you want to catch all of the recordings in one location, you can go to emlreplays.com, and all of the replays will be there. You can actually subscribe. That way you'll get notified when we do go live, if you're not able to catch it. So check that out, emlreplays.com. And Hollie, I appreciate you. Thank you for jumping in and adding value as always. And like I said, make sure you guys give Hollie lots of love, connect with her, and anything you guys need within this group. She's obviously the go-to for all of us, a tremendous asset to our team and to the Honey Badger Nation. And I can't thank you enough, as well as appreciate all you guys tuning in. Hollie, good?
Yep, absolutely. Thank you so much. It was fun.
Yeah, it was awesome. Cool. We'll see you guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.